So now that we know how to make a quiz, either from Google Classroom or from an existing form, time to set those quiz settings and adjust what they are. When you're doing quiz settings, you again have that locked mode on Chromebooks. So this makes so that students can't open other tabs or apps when taking the quiz on a Chromebook, which a lot of students are going to have during distance learning. So if you really want to attempt to lock it down, you can. I would also say they have your phones at home, so I don't know how much that'll help, but at least you do have that option, especially when we come back to in-person learning. Inside of quiz settings, you also have the ability to choose when the grade is released. Do you want it released immediately after the submission of it so that when the student submits the quiz, they see the results, knows what they got wrong and what they got right? If you have any questions that are like short answer or paragraph submission where you have to read them to then assign point values, they won't see, the correct answers for that or the point values for that until you manually grade them. But they can see all the rest of the answers and what they got wrong. I use this great for assignments where I want them to be checking whether or not they got something correct, and it's immediate so they know that they got it wrong, and they can go back and fix it. So it's an immediate feedback piece for me and for the student so that they can correct their own errors. This shows the students their results with open-ended questions. Again, it won't show them until you manually grade them. Later, after manual review, means that it will require that the form automatically collects the user's email addresses so that it can then inform them when their quiz has been graded via email. So just kind of keep that in mind. Some of our students aren't even checking their Gmail accounts, so there's that option too, but I'm just throwing it out there. In addition to that, you also have the options for them to see whether or not they missed questions, where the students can see what questions they actually answered incorrectly. If you want to, you can then show them the correct answers if they got the question incorrect, and you can assign point values so that they can know how many points each question is worth while they're taking the quiz, as well as how many points they received for each question. So I want you really quickly to take a quiz. I want you to see it from the student point of view first before we move into adjusting the quizzes and making those types of things. So right after this lesson, you're going to go ahead and take a quiz. If you want to pause here and go find the quiz in the Google Classroom, you can real quick so you can see it from the student view. I'm going to show you how to go in and change those settings real quick for that quizzes so that we can practice it together if needed on your practice quiz, but definitely want to take a quiz from the student point of view. So inside of our practice quiz that we created together, you want to go to that settings option, and that's where you're going to find all the settings that we just went over on the quizzes tab. So when you click the quizzes tab, you have the option to turn on the locked mode immediately after each submission, after manual review, or turn on these features or off these features. So just wanted to make sure you knew how to get to those settings underneath the gear quizzes icon. Make sure you save those results or save those changes if you do make changes. And remember, you need to go and take a quiz from the student point of view so you can see what a quiz looks like before we create one for students to take.